Alright, first and foremost, I want to say Kalalal, Yahweh Basham Yahushai, Basham Rakar Kwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to all the brothers that's pushing this work in all sincerity and in truth. I'm the brother Yahya from the JMS Kingston, Jamaica camp, here with a quick lesson. Alright, and this one is entitled Sorrow Lifted Up. A position in the series Vikings, one of the main characters in the series said something. He said, power is given to those who are willing to bend down to pick it up. Right? And throughout the scriptures, that's a part of the narrative of the scriptures. It's a part of the narrative of the word. Being humble in order to abound. Being of a lowly mindset in terms of being humble is necessary to abound. And when you examine the scriptures tell you why. In the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 3 says, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. When you look up the word better, it comes from the Hebrew tawab, which means pleasing, right? To be pleasing, right? To be good. Now the word heart comes from the Hebrew lab, which means mind, right? So the scriptures says that for by the sadness of the countenance, right, the heart is made better. Zin. So think of this. When a situation happens to you that is negative, it brings out a certain emotional trait, which is naturally sadness. And examine what that sadness does. Does it makes you feel as if, well, to some it probably make them feel as if they want to roll over and die. But as men of the Lord, when a negative thing happens to you, it makes you cleave unto the Heavenly Father more. And we see a trait in that when it comes on to the Apostle Paul. Right? The scripture, Yahushua told him that many things he shall suffer for the truth's sake. Likewise us. And it needs be for us to be sorrowful, for us to be made better, for us to cleave unto the Heavenly Father, so that we may be lifted up in the last end. When you read the book of Matthew chapter 5, starting from verse 3, it said, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Right? So all of these adjectives, Zin, poor in spirit, they that mourn, the meek, all of these are descriptions of a man of the Lord that is going to excel in the last end. And the reason for that is because we are not caught up by the lusts of this world. We are not caught up by the joys of this world. Right? Because going back to Ecclesiastes 7 verse 3, the word sorrow basically means grief. Right? So by grief, grief is better than laughter. And when you look up the word grief, it go in the etymology online, it says hardship, suffering, pain, bodily affliction. Right? A hardship is better than sorrow. It's better than laughter. It's better than joy. Zin, it keeps you balanced. It keeps you checked in this world. There's a popular opera singer by the name of Andrea Bocelli. Right? he was doing an interview, and the interviewer asked him if he's happy. He said that happy is not a word that he likes to be associated with. He likes to be associated with being serene. When I looked up the word serene, it means to be clear. Right? When you're too happy, when you're too joyful in this world, you don't clear, you're not calm. Right? Your emotions are overly heightened, that it causes you to be distracted from reality. Right? It doesn't lead you into the path of righteousness. It diverts you into being idle. Right? When I looked up the word happy, it means being in advantageous circumstances, prosperous. Now, it's funny that the definition is that, because when I look at the scripture in Ecclesiastes 11 verse 25, it says, in the day of prosperity there is a forgetfulness of affliction, right? And in the day of affliction there is no more remembrance of prosperity. Understand? So we're not supposed to forget affliction. We're not supposed to forget the circumstances that we are in, living in this world. Right? We're supposed to always have the mindset of being serene, which goes with being humble, which goes along with being balanced. Balanced in this world. And that is what will lift you up at the last end. If you are always occupied in the joys of this world, you are occupied in pleasures of the flesh, you're not going to seek to attain more pleasing circumstances, which is to inherit the kingdom of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Right? So this is the book of this is the example of John. It's like Paul. This is what Paul said. This is the story that Paul gave, which is to help us to understand the type of mind we're supposed to be in. The elder Ariella always speaking about mindset. The mindset of being bold. The mindset of being balanced. The mindset of being a champion. Being serene, calm, clairvoyant is a mindset of being a champion. You're not overly excited about anything that this world has to offer, but you're balanced in your character, in your display of actions. You have wise judgment and discernment. Your discernment is not based upon your emotions, but you're rational. Right? This is 2 Corinthians chapter 12, starting from verse, let me see. Alright, I start from verse 5. It says, of such a one will I glory, yet of myself I will not glory, but in my infirmities. So Paul was talking about Yahushai, saying that he will glory of Yahushai. Paul said he counted all things but dung for the excellency of Yahushai. Right? And using Yahushai as an example also. Yahushai did not come here in the earth to be a scholar, display the trait of happiness. The scripture told you how he was. You see, in the book of Isaiah, I think it's Isaiah 53. You see, he said, may I start at verse 1? He said, who had believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He had no form or comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we shall desire him. He is despised and rejected of man, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. So Yahushua was a man of sorrow and acquainted with grief, man. His main focus and attention was to do the will of Yahweh. At the age of, I think it was what, 12? 13? Don't quote me on that, I can't remember right now. Zin, he said to his parents that he was about his father's business. Why? Because he was a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. That was a character trait of Yahushua. Zin? And it says, and we hid as it were our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he had borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. This is what Yahushua had to bear. This is what Yahushua had to go through to obtain the kingdom. Right? We have to go through the same thing. We have to know how to bear the grief and sorrows. Zin, we have to know how to be afflicted, but not downtrodden. Right? And that is what is going to keep us balanced. So, though we glory, we should not glory of ourselves, but of our afflictions. Right? 2 Corinthians 12 verse 6, for though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool. So if you're in this life, you're thinking that your circumstances are prosperous, you're thinking that you're in a better position to be happy and lavish in this life, Zin, and your glory, your desire to glory of that, you're a fool. Zin, Paul continues, he says, for I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which I see me to be, or that he heareth of me. Because Paul was basically mighty in the word. He was mighty in the knowledge of the word. So he said, at least I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations. There was given to me a thorn in the flesh. He was given grief to balance him out, to not let him forget the glory of Yahushua. Right? Sorrow is a gift in this truth, man. It keeps us steady, it keeps us balanced. Right? That is one of my issues. I need to basically acquaint myself with sorrow. Zin, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that I might depart from me. So Paul was so afflicted that he besought the Heavenly Father, so that the affliction may depart from him. Zin? And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. The Heavenly Father's strength is made perfect in weakness. Zin, through our afflictions, our mournings, our infirmities, Zin, we shall be exalted, because we have a mindset of cleaving unto the Most High, seeking diligently His face, seeking after His will, just as how Yahushua sought after His will. Zin, so most gladly therefore will I rather glory in mine infirmities, that the power of Yahushua may rest upon me. Zin, when you glory in your infirmities, the Yahushua rests upon you. I can recall many a times. It is when I am afflicted, when I'm buffeted, when I resonate more spiritually. I intend to get up and do things, but when I am happy, I am distracted and I cannot focus. Right? I cannot basically settle down and do what is necessary to accomplish productive task. Right? So the Heavenly Father said to Paul that his grace is sufficient for him, because the strength Because the strength of the Heavenly Father is made perfect in our weakness when we are of a low degree. This is book of Psalms 37 verse 11. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. So the meek is the one that is going to inherit the earth, man. You see me? I think the point was made, right? Acquaint thyself with sorrows. Zane, acquaint thyself with griefs, so that you might cleave unto the Heavenly Father more and be lifted up. Right? So with that, I want to say Kalalal, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakar Kodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to all the brothers that's pushing this work in all sincerity and in truth. Shalom.